Hey, you have landed in the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This will be lesson 17. We are rolling through age and experience analysis. We're rolling into experience here coming up. We're trying to help you win your fantasy football drafts. Stats say that's about 60% of the battle overall. So, hopefully the rest of your time in season, you will be a winner as well. So this is a lesson-driven uh, educational experience, I guess. Not sure there's anything like it out there. We will not be having smoking music and lots of yucks. This is serious business. I may throw a yuck or two in. But I consider this a journey, and that's why I called this whole series The Process. Okay, so we will continue. Obviously, you should go back and check out the previous lessons, but hey, I'm just glad you're listening. Hopefully, it can help you out. So, continue with age analysis, and we're really now moving from age to something like age. It's called experience. So there's always this question, is it experience or age, right? Is it the wear and tear on the body, or how much do you gain from experiences? Uh, Not sure that it is completely answered at this point. I do have some data looking at that, but right now I'm just kind of focusing on the landscape again, trying to establish averages, trying to understand where the landscape is at for our reference class forecasting methodology that I support. So here we have a table here. The year sector, I'm looking the last few years, 2017 to 20. My database goes back to 2002, but I wanted to kind of bring in the latest data points here. Positions: quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. And then the letters being experience. So R is rookie, R2 is 2 years in, 3 all the way to 11 plus, and then the total average of the fantasy points per position. So as we've shown previously, quarterbacks are going to be producing uh, kind of more points than running backs and wide receivers, and then tight ends are the least productive. Not saying they're the least important, just the production wise. I've given then the average fantasy point numbers by each little slot in the positional bingo card there. So quarterbacks, the top three sectors are experience level 3, R3, R4, and R11 plus. So this theme of youth and then a seasoned old dogs. And I believe the reason 11 plus is so high is a lot of the lesser producing QBs are out of the league by then. So the ones that have survived the journey, however they got there, they're probably old salty dogs that will definitely be productive, and the stats would support that. Running backs, we have 3 and 4 years, as well as the ninth year and a little bit in the 11th. Plus, tight ends, you're getting a little bit more of a season concept that we've seen before. R7, 10, and 11 tend to be the higher ones, but 6 and 8 are definitely in the mix as well. So kind of more of the seasoned tight ends. The idea of the rookie tight ends not really being productive, I think we can hang our hat on that. It's, what's it, 30? So the worst of the worst there. Uh, Wide receivers, believe it or not, there's a seasoning phenomenon that we see fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth years of experience are kind of the apex, and there's kind of a drop off the 10th and 11th. But there's some that will be hanging around longer. But just kind of on average, and again, the rookie wide receivers, there's a lot of them in the league, but whether it's ability, seasoning, whatever the factor, opportunity, they're at the worst on average, right? This is not the generational. Every year we have generational people. Uh, so, the hype machine. It's time to break the hype button here. And I think this kind of approach allows us to do that, to winnow away from all the sensationalness that is looking for your clickbaits here and your subscribes and whatnot. Uh, so, anyway, let's continue the journey here. So, if we kind of plot the averages, looking at the different positions, just kind of overall, kind of a visual graph kind of thing happening. The green is the quarterbacks, and you see they're going to be at the top. There's some peaks and valleys there, and we see that some of the 3 and 4 year old seasoned quarterbacks are doing well. The little peak at 7 and 9, and then the big peak at 11. The wide receivers are coming up next, and notice they're not showing up to about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and starting to then hit the bottom towards the 10th year of seasoning. Running backs, on the other hand, are peaking earlier and dropping with a little bit of activity to end. Again, I think we're losing a lot of running backs in the 9th year, and they're out of the league. So kind of who's left, right? The miracle running backs, Frank Gore would be the typical example, or hanging around producing, maybe not at the peak levels, but they've survived that long. Adrian Peterson, certainly another one that's still hanging around. And then again, the tight end, they're definitely in the yellow line here. They're peaking at 7 and at 10 and 11 here and coming out. So just on average, kind of let these be kind of a guide to frame some of your thinking, especially any kind of surprising kind of sleeper moves here, sleeper players. I think you need to incorporate that journey with this background here, okay? And of course, you can screenshot this and have it and whatnot. Okay, so I went ahead and grabbed last year's data on experience and color coded it, and just kind of wanted us to talk a few key players that are coming into the peaks here. So in 2020, here were the uh, R2s and R3s, and now they'll be moving to R3, R4, so the peak in area here. And then the better ones, certainly Kyler Murray was in the top quarter here, so he continues to be in the zone. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield are also uh, in the mix there. Sam Darnold could surprise and be a little better than people think. It's hard to tell. The Jets are kind of, at least they were a train wreck last year, and I don't know what we're going to get this year. I haven't got that deep into it yet. Still digging out from 2020 and looking around. The next two columns are the running backs, and I include a little more the age sector and experience there. So we're focusing on for 2021 the experience of 3 and 4 year. Excuse me. So we're going 2020 would be second and third. So these will be moving up in experience and kind of see what we're at. So the top last year 2-year-old experiences are David Montgomery, Jacob, Sanders, Gaskins, Singletary, Henderson here, and they will be moving then to continuing in the peak zone of 3. And then underneath, Pollard, Harris, Madison, Benny Snell, Ty Johnson. And then I guess if there are going to be some sleepers here, you could dig into the next levels or two here. I think opportunity and some of the other situations may prevent some of the deeper names in here from coming up and being fairly viable. But it's good to know, and they are on that. And the ones that were in 2020, the third year experience moving to the year 4, 2021, Chubb is jumping out to me. Nakeem Hines, Ronald Jones, Chase Edmonds, Jeff Wilson, Gus Edwards, I think just got tagged, franchise tagged. So Baltimore, don't walk away from him. I think that is a sign of good confidence, and we've now got some metrics that say he should be in the zone. No excuses, I guess, is what I'm trying to say for him. Boston Scott, Balaj, Sony Michelle, Kerryon Johnson, Lindsey, Justin Jackson. There's your kind of this always kind of a bridesmaid in the background there. Wilkins, Edo Smith. Okay, and then some others. So you can take a look. There's some names there for your running back thinking. This is the tight ends, and I just showed all the tight ends going to experience level 7 and up. We got Waller jumps out, right? Logan Thomas, Ebron, Burton, and I guess we got Gronk is probably going to play. Jimmy Graham, Cook. Those are some names that I see that have been fairly productive in the top quarter and probably will be that again, but you can take a look and focus in here. I missed Kelsey, of course, Eifert, Felds, Ertz, Jordan Reed is still out there. Word about him. So anyway, there's the tight ends. You can get deeper and take a look, but I thought I at least should throw some of these names out. And here is wide receivers coming into experience season 5, 6 here. So we're talking the top. Juju, Curtis Samuel's definitely intriguing to me. Cooper Kupp, Corey Davis, Goodwin, Patrick, Tim Patrick, Mike Williams, Keenan Cole, Pascal, Bourne, and then of course Tyreek Hill, Robbie Anderson, Boyd, Fuller, Shepard. Those are some hot dog names here. Diggs, Lockett, Cooper, Aguilar, Crowder, Devontae Parker. So I'm just naming you the top ones that should be in the zone. And then the 7th and 8th years moving to 8 and 9. Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, Evans, Cooks, Landry, Hopkins, Thielen. Thielen is 30 years old. I was just thinking about that. Don't not if I'm dynasty, I'm not sure I'm not trying to move him. I don't know. I would John Brown as well. I did mention some age, so there is some, that if you could move them, and I think some of these you worry about, are they getting too long in the tooth here for dynasty? Just kind of look around, think about that. I've got Evans on my dynasty team. I have one dynasty team just to keep my hand in that world. I'm not very good at it, but I do have him, and I do note the creeping of age there. I think he's good for another year, but going to be, if somebody came with the right offer, I might take it. It would depend. It would depend. Okay, so that's some of the names that seem to correlate with some of the metrics there. Let you look around, see what you think. So I then wanted to go up the landscape a little bit, but only focus on the top 12 players from 17 to 20. So I wanted to really hard focus on the main movers and shakers who we look back at the end of the season that probably won your leagues: quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers. So how does that play in? And for quarterbacks, the peak is the 5th year. So we kind of start losing the old seasoning scenario. Looks like the second year, third, fourth, and fifth are a little bit more steady. So, the previous data was all quarterbacks, right? Worst to the best. This is just the best. And I think you're seeing a little bit more youth bias here. So go back to the list we had and consider the youth a little bit. Running backs, uh, third, fourth, fifth. I think we have 3 years of peak for the best of the best. And boy, the bottom falls out after 6 years. So comes back to the 7th, but boy, I would be worried, especially in dynasty there. So I think I will, continue to look towards youth and maybe even in redraft, maybe prune out some of the too seasoned running backs there for redraft this year. Just giving you a warning. There's suggestions of the top group there, okay? Because we all want the top players are probably the ones that are going to help us win our league. Tight ends, I think the seasoning thing still works here. So that concept can kind of hang with us 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th year, 10th year, but boy, in the 9th. So I'm thinking the 8th year. I'm going to stick 5th to the 8th year. I think that's a good sweet zone there. And wide receivers, I think there is a little bit of the youth that I'm liking the 3rd, 4th, and 5th year guys. I think the data is telling you that. I do see the 9th year uh, is out there. That's kind of interesting. Sometimes you'll see kind of multi peaks, and it's hard. You can make some guesses what that means, but it could be some funkiness on the data, right? I like a trend where you see, like this, having multiple uh, sequential segments there. That I'm getting a little more confident about that versus just kind of the 9th year hanging out. Sometimes people call that giraffes in data sets, that you got something sticking way above the crowd way out there a little bit, and you're like, where the hell did this come from? So just be a little bit cautious and suspicious. Not saying you get dramatic there, especially in Dynasty, but just be aware that looks like the sixth, seventh, and eighth are not bringing in what the preceding 3 years are for you. Uh, and then I kind of I like to scale the data so I can look at it. And in this case, I scaled to the average. So the average was 368 in the top 12. And I just merely subtracted that number from all these points here. And that sometimes brings home the scale of the information. And to me, the fifth year is the absolute peak for quarterbacks. Okay, fourth, fifth year. Running backs, you're definitely getting a third year and a fifth year situation. And notice the sixth year, you're really, you know, take a taking a drop there. And by ninth, it's getting really worrisome there after a fifth year. Tight ends, looks like you're peaking sixth and eighth with the drop on the ninth. So I think fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. I'm feeling good about what that's saying to us. Wide receivers peaking here, and here's that ninth year. And notice how those sit above the crowd a little bit. Kind of interesting. Like I said, I'm not quite 100% sure what that means, but I do like to see above average in this little range here. It's just this is a little bit confounding to me. If I had time, I would go back and go a little deeper into the years, seeing if there's something to the ninth year, because it doesn't make any sense for it to be so high versus either side. Okay, but there it is that way. It's another way to look at this. So you're saying I thought data makes it uh, uh, easy to figure out, and sometimes it's not as clear cut as you would like. Okay, not as clear cut as you would like. So just be aware of that. Okay, so if it was as clear cut, then everybody would know it, and I wouldn't be doing this because it'd be common knowledge. Okay, and being able to live with uncertainty. We talked about that, the fear of uncertainty, or a lot certain people, don't know percentage, but there are people that do not handle uncertainty well. And I think they have an issue with making decisions under high uncertainty. So you're just going to have to love uncertainty and let it be your friend, and just get on with it. The you know if you're gambling, it's not a sure thing. That's why it's a gamble, right? So just be aware of that. Okay. Just another way to see the top 12 end of season players scale averages. Just looking at the troughs and the peaks, right? The mountains and the valleys. Pretty much what we did scale wise. You can take a look at where the peaks are for wide receivers, for instance. They're peaking here, fourth, and there's that ninth. Tight ends are peaking here and there, right? Uh, Running backs are peaking here and there, and the quarterbacks, and they are the green. So peak there, peak there, peak there, peak there. So just consider that and use the data accordingly. I like to see things in multiple ways to hammer home into seem like I can see this for me better than a field of numbers. So that's why I do visual graphs as well. It helps me think about and remember the data, especially if you're in a timed draft. You've got a minute to make a decision. People say, "Oh, that's too much time." For me, not enough. I definitely do not like time drafts. I like slow drafts. Give me 2, 4, love 8 hours. Plenty of time to consider all the ambiguities in the data. Love it. Like the marinade over the uncertainty fires and bubble up the answers. Okay. So, yeah, I'm the one that's taking the last minute. And frankly, in those slow drafts, people get cranky when people take their whole time. Hey, don't sign up for them. And personally, if it makes people get mad, they probably get off their game. And so, if I get a lot of uh, folks that are getting cranky over time, I might just slow it down even more. Why not? If I can get you off your game, hey, it's what I'm going to do. So yes, I use everything to my advantage to crush your dreams and hopes of your fantasy league. Okay, so enjoy it, revel in it. Quarterbacks. Let's focus on quarterbacks here. So I broke down the end of the season's sectors by sixes, all the way down to the 42nd selection there, and then applied the experience here. This may be not enough data points, okay, because when you start slicing and dicing all the categories, you obviously lose the strength of the sample numbers that drive statistical analysis. So you can pinpoint things somewhat, but you can lose some of the goodness that stats bring to you. But let's look at it anyway. We see the experience levels and then the total by sectors here. So you can kind of see we're probably not messing with any quarterbacks below probably the 18th. To me, you're hitting about 300 points, and that's about as far down as I want to play. So, yeah, I think to me, my sweet spot is either early or I'll wait near the 12th and grab something. And if I wait way too late, I may have waited too late, I guess. But I would not go too deep past the 12th or 13th. That's just kind of my feeling. But hey, if there are some opportunities and I get burned in a quarterback run, seventh, eighth round, then you get burned. What can you do? Sometimes you get a little wide receiver or running back, tight end greedy, and you're thinking, oh, it'll come to me, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That is you take your chances. So the top six quarterbacks, it's all good, right? I mean, these are nice numbers. The peaks just are the second year, which is interesting, and the fourth year, and then the third. So I guess the second through fifth are the best of the best, right? I think you can kind of separate that out. But there's those old dogs out there too. So just not sure it's as clear cut, but there it is. The next sector, sometimes rookie quarterbacks will end up 7th through 12th. So just be aware that we haven't had any in that box. So you may have forgotten that. Okay, so I think if you're drafting your rookie for number one, you're probably in this range, which you can win your league with a seventh level quarterback, but don't be thinking you're grabbing the top quarterback of the year because you're probably not. There's a peak there. Old dogs are still ruling there. 13th to 18th, if I'm really getting busted, uh, I'm not sure anything anything's worrying me there. Excuse me. Uh, Probably not going past the 18th, but there's the data you can look at it. I guess in a two quarterback league, not sure there's anything that just, I mean, some seasoning jumps out here a little bit, I guess. I would be a little cautious in some youth, but sometimes some rookies have done well in this group, but about average. So I'm thinking the above average are a little bit more seasoned. So I guess if I'm having a two quarterback league, my second one could be a little more seasoned. I think I could definitely be shooting for those guys. So if you're in a two quarterback league, I think I would definitely use this chart and consider the back half a little bit more of where the seasoning sits than some of the youth. Let some of the youth go and maybe pick up some steady players that are a little seasoned here. Maybe even grab, I don't know if they limit you to three, but you might be able to take two in that range and stream them to try to maximize your journey in a two quarterback league. Don't play in a two quarterback league. I've done it a few times. Won some, lost some. Kind of, and I really didn't do enough to get a feel for it. Kind of like Dynasty. I'm really, it just didn't drop into my lap like redraft seems to. So I wasn't, my synergy level wasn't high, and I guess I don't have the time to learn all the subtleties there. So I'll let you know let the other folks go for it. I never spend time when I'm in a why handicap myself, right? Why uh, why play tennis with a golf club? I mean, it's just not, if it's not working for you, don't do it. Here is just the graphs here. I think the top six are shown here, and I think the youth, the trend of the youth is, with the exception of the rookie, okay, with the exception, see, there's no data point here, even though the trend would say do it. You got to be thoughtful. So, but second years are nice. The next level, rookies are okay, but there's this, the older dogs are coming into play. And then here's the next round. Looks like you're kind of the later mid season, but don't wait too late kind of thing. Uh, Not sure how concrete some of this is, but I definitely would not expect a top six quarterback to be in the seasoned. I think the rushing quarterbacks, the youth, is probably going to push those guys up. So if I'm really got to have the top two or three quarterbacks, then I'm looking more youth and probably even rushing as well. And we had a list of some of the experienced quarterbacks coming into the sweet zones. Here's kind of the overall pattern. I think youth here is telling you. Uh, and kind of a second little peek, and then the old dogs. I still think I'm over here. Okay. Running backs. Just here's the list of all down to 157th plus here. Just showing of the top 48 where the tops were in purple. So we kind of see a little bit more youth here. Okay, and a little bit kind of 6th round later here. So you kind of, that youth concept continues. Top 6 running backs. Here's the pattern. 5th year, and boy, do we drop. So if I'm thinking I'm pulling one of the top 6 running backs, I'm not taking an older running back. 6th year, no. I mean, the bottom is dropping out. I mean, it's just like, whoosh, like, uh-oh. The other trend is the 7th to 12th, 13th to 18th running backs. I'm not scared of the older ones. The trends are, kind of steady, but seasoning doesn't hurt you, I guess. Whereas some of the deeper choices, it looks fairly flat to me. So I'm not sure experience is playing a big role past the 19th running back there by any means. Here's the overall pattern. And like I said, 5th year and drop. Bam. So I think I will tend to stay in this area. Okay, I think that it's not surprise. It's just I don't know, if you've ever visualized it. A lot of people talk it. It's like, well, why do they say that? And they maybe pull out a stat or two, but here's the overall pattern. This is the landscape. This is what you hang your hat on in your drafts, okay? Not just some isolated statements you read on the internet. So let's move on. Tight end. Same kind of thing. I just wanted to show the tops for each sector here. I think it is clear that if you want a top tight end, you're in this range here. The next tight end, 7th through 12th, probably still in that range there. I guess in a multiple tight end league, you're still with seasoned tight ends. You're avoiding youth. So I think that's fairly obvious. The overall trend for the top 6 tight ends is 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, and then you start dropping again. But clearly, you're waiting to at least the 5th year before you grab a tight end. Fairly flat in the next groups, so I'm not sure there's any advantage to experience there. I still would avoid rookie tight ends and even young tight ends. And I think see that. And the overall pattern of all the sectors is from about the second through. So it's kind of steady, but I think, in this case, when you put too much aggregate data together, kind of muddies the water. I prefer the preceding chart for decision making. But anyway, there the tight end is fairly simple, I think, and probably the easiest to navigate. Wide receivers. Looks like the optimal's 5th, 6th year here in the top groups. Okay. And in the top, there haven't been a rookie wide receiver to be in the top 6. Been in the top, 7 to 12. So I'm definitely avoiding that. And it looks like, I'm staying in that general range there if I'm trying to find the top 6 wide receivers. Again, this same kind of almost the tight end concept that you're peaking 4, 5, 6, 7th maybe. A little bit more steady here, but a little drop towards but then it picks up again. And probably nothing just quite dramatic here. I'm not looking away from the older running backs in later rounds because most likely they're not going to make the top groups for you. But I think looking at the beginning of the seasoning, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th-ish years, that's where I'm looking for the top guys because the top 6 are completely different at pattern here than the others. And, nothing that I see supports this kind of increase, like dramatic increase like this is in the top 6. So I think I definitely treat wide receivers that had the potential to be in the tops differently than ones that I don't think are going to be the top 6. I'm not shying away from experience so much. Again, later wide receiver 3, 4, 5, 6th level. Not worried at that point. Overall is a little bit, if you aggregate all the data, there's a little bit of a 5, 6 kind of peakish era here. A little bit right there, kind of a double peak. But I think, like I said, sometimes you put too much together. It's hard to parse out the subtleties. So I think I will stick to the previous group when I break the sectors out. Okay, so I think, is this it? Yeah. So woo, we have done another block of material. This is more experience. There is an age component kind of underneath that, and I'm sure we'll address that down the road. We're having lots of extra fun here doing this. This is the process. My name's Dr. John Bush, and I'm really hoping that you're getting aboard with this. Again, the style is not, entertaining. Listen to some music or watch some funny shows on TV or something. We're trying to be an education kind of thing. I'm trying not to be too humdrum, but it is what it is. This is what you're getting, and I think we'll have more fun data and little nuggets for you. Please come back. Hope you're enjoying. Spread the gospel of the process. Thank you very much. Come back. Next lesson coming.